All right, well, moving on now. Wednesdays here on the program, we like to put the spotlight on the farm women's group, Common Ground.
Common Ground is a group of farm women who want to be a resource for consumers who want to know more about how their food is grown. Joining us today is Melisa Konecky from Wahoo. Nice to see you, Melissa.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Did we get the last name right there?
You did.
We nailed it.
You
nailed
did.
it.
Were you worried about me there?
I was a little bit.
You're ready for Check 101 now. Congratulations.
So, Wahoo area, how's everything going?
Good.
It's good?
It's good. Voting night was last night. Exciting stuff happening in Wahoo, so.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go.
All
There you
good. What
Yeah.
else would you want for a Wednesday, right?
I know, exactly. It's more excitement than normal.
Right. All right, well, we want to talk today about the issue of antibiotic use in dairy cattle. First, tell us about your operation.
So my family has a dairy farm near Wahoo. We milk about 60 dairy cows, which is fairly small. But my grandpa started in the 30s. He won his first calf at the county fair. Back then, the prize was you took home a calf with you, which I think is super awesome. But since then, we've milked dairy cows, and we also farm corn, soybeans, and alfalfa.
Yeah, winning that prize started a whole new career path.
He did, and here we are. So
Yeah.
it's kind of wild how things work out sometimes.
You never know
but-
how things will
No.
go, but I know consumers often worry about antibiotic use in milk and in dairy cattle. Are antibiotics used in dairy cattle, and maybe why are they used?
Yeah, so the word, there's a lot of things that scare people about the dairy industry. One of them is antibiotics. Really, when you think about it, you know, if your child is sick, you want to take them to the doctor, and they're going to use antibiotics to make them better. It's quick, it's effective, it's the best thing to do. So when our dairy cows are sick, we usually will use antibiotics as well. Usually it's under the advice of a vet. We usually don't know what's wrong, so we call the veterinarian. He tells us what to give them to make them better. So antibiotics are the quick and effective way to make them feel better. However, we know when we use those, the milk that they give for the next, usually it's 48 hours, 96 hours, cannot be put in with the milk that's going to the plant. That milk has to be disposed of. It cannot be put into the milk's system.
Do you test it, Melissa, or how do you know when it's free of antibiotics?
So the label has how long it's supposed to be withheld, and so you have to follow that to a T. There are tests you can get for your home that they'll double check, and they'll turn blue if it's got antibiotics in it.
So I think a lot of consumers might wonder, you know, oh, this milk that I have may have antibiotics in it, but there's so many tests that are done. You monitor it so closely that it is not in the milk once it goes to the plant and once it gets to the grocery store.
Correct. So not only are we in charge of monitoring it, but whoever our milk is going to, whatever cooperative or whatever, will test it twice before it's ever unloaded at the plant. And if any even tiny speck of antibiotic shows up, the whole tank is disposed of and never enters the food supply. So it's checked multiple times, which is good because, I mean, our family's drinking milk. I don't want antibiotics in my milk.
Either.
I don't want it in anybody else's either. So there's a system of checks and balances there to make sure that it works.
Now, I know some milk, the labels will say no antibiotics used. What would be the difference there?
They're
just don't
just
use
telling you that there's no antibiotics in any milk. They're just wanting you to make sure that you know that there's not in there. So all milk is antibiotic free because if there was antibiotics, it was gotten rid of.
Okay.
So
Good to know, and it's good to know too, and a lot of people need to know that our food supply, you know, is safe, and there's so many checks and balances in there to make sure that it is safe. So,
all right. And you're sticking around with the recipe.
I'm sticking around.
Yeah. What is it? It smells really
We're
good.
making a chicken dip. It looks awesome before you even put it together, and then it tastes awesome. So.
All right. Great. We like that.
Thank you, Melissa.